Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call our December 1st, 2021 African American Heritage Initiative Committee meeting to order. So again, greetings to everyone who just joined. And Ms. Carlin, could you please call the roll? Oh, she's on the phone, sorry.
Sure. Chair Villa-Gomez,
Present.
Vice Chair Penn,
Present.
Ms. Dark requested an excuse absent. Mr. Dara,
Present.
Mr. Fulton, Ms. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Scales, Ms. Williams, and Ms. Wilson also requested an excuse absence.
Thank you. Well, since we do not have a quorum, we can't approve our minutes, but we have some time to discuss them. Are there any items in our November meeting minutes that anyone would like to highlight or discuss today? All right, well, we can always come back to the minutes if we have a few more, one or two more members join. So I'll move on to the chair's updates. So first, good news is that my urban history class for the spring that I am aligning to our work is filling up. This is exciting because the majority of the students are not history majors. We have a full range of freshmen through seniors, some of our great justice studies students in my department. So I'm really happy that I am going to be able to bring in a wider range of the student population and community from Winston-Salem State University. So that is just really exciting for me. And we'll be meeting twice a week via Zoom. So it's an online course through Zoom. And so I, again, invite all of you, anytime that you would like to come in. One of the things that I've thought about is it could be wonderful to have you come in and just tell your stories about growing up to the students, because your oral history stories that you want to share, those will be primary sources for them. And I'd love to have you get to know the students. And again, I hope that each of you will think about maybe a small project that I can assign a few students to for you to help you with your efforts for your particular subcommittee. So many of you have sent me some ideas and I appreciate those and thank you so much. And so in January, I'll have more updates, but just wanted to share that great news, as well as the fact that we will have 4 advanced history major interns working with us as well. So that's the news about the service learning. Also, most of you probably saw the email that I sent with a little summary about our grant application that we're hoping to be able to submit. It is the Telling the Full Story grant, and we might not be able to vote on it today, but I wanted to open up time for our whole committee to discuss this, and maybe just a few bullet points. What we're hoping to do is to receive this grant so that we could explore some projects that would really bring in many more people and organizations across our whole community. And the 2 or 3 really wonderful ideas for projects would be to do a virtual kind of walk through of Black Winston-Salem before gentrification and urban renewal and 52, et cetera, destroyed so many of our beautiful landmarks and neighborhoods. And so this virtual sort of recreation and walkthrough would be some kind of a digital humanities work, and would in many ways help us to meet the charge to write the history of what happened to our neighborhoods that we've been charged through that resolution from last spring to accomplish. So there is that. Also, we thought about doing something like sort of walking tours that would also have some kind of narration. So some of you may have done the Salem Pathways walking tours that include some of the hidden town people. And so I did send you information on that. So I just am so excited about this. I had been really thinking a lot and really praying about how we could move forward in a way that would be innovative and really find ways to celebrate our community. And, you know, we can write those narratives in kind of that scholarly way, and we can post the oral histories, but to create something visually, and also even a kind of scaled model of our neighborhoods. So there could be a beautiful display that could be somewhere, maybe at Muse, but somewhere that people could go and actually look. So there are many kind of moving pieces to this, but this grant would give us the funding and support we need to explore these avenues and to hopefully hire interns and staff to help us accomplish this and to help us reach out to our community members and organizations to get as many people involved in this really creative endeavor that I think would be such a beautiful role model for us to share for the whole country, because people are paying attention to what we're doing. And so I was just so inspired by the meeting and really thank Councilperson Scipio and Ms. Wanda for their contributions, and all the city staff who really worked hard doing the footwork research for us up front, so that if we are allowed to go through with this, if we are allowed to make the recommendation and the city manager and council approve, I think we can pull the grant together very well in a fairly short amount of time because we have a pending deadline. So those are my bullet points, but what are your thoughts? What do you think about the project, the potential project and the grant? Ms. Wanda or Councilperson Scipio, would you like to throw in? You always have wonderful nuggets of inspiration and wonderful details that I might have left out. So I would love for you to add to what I've presented here.
All right, I can always add. I think that the thought of applying for this grant that helps support research for what we're doing, it would be a real phenomenal thing. Ideally, um, it's from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And because so much of our African American community no longer exists, our take on trying to get a grant that helps us recreate what was there, something that people could see and experience. It would be a lot from folks' memories because we don't have any buildings left that are significant. So it goes along with what we're trying to do as an initiative, is to get people to send their photos of their houses, and then we can transform those photos into something digital, and it can make it feel like you're walking down a street or a store, or like I do know of a picture of the grocery store my uncle managed. There's a very lovely picture of it. So, at the bottom of Cameron Avenue, we could do that. Although Cameron Avenue, there are still houses that exist there. And so those will be great because Reynoldstown is fairly much intact. But as you walk around our city where we lived, just thinking of having a virtual presentation, it does take work to get existing any pictures that still might exist, but more importantly, to get people's memories that they can share and talk about. Somebody was telling me the other day that they remember walking up Highland Avenue, and what a wonderful walk it was between the 12th and 14th Street, and the homes that were up there, and how it made them feel to be walking on that block. And even memories of 11th and 12th Street Bottom. People have some real memories about those places, and the buildings were not all that bad, but they were dense. It was housing, it was stores, and it was a neighborhood. And to have people try to experience what it was like to grow up in those neighborhoods, to me, would be interesting. It'd be great if the trust can see our vision, which is to recreate what isn't there now through videos and photos and people's memories. Because there's nothing, what's there now isn't what it used to be. It's just a way of reinforcing what community really meant to people, to Black people in this town. And so if you could envision talking about East Winston, where it is, but also going to Boston. Bobby Dora grew up on West 11th Street in front of, it was Carver Crest School. And now it's Cook School, but going up that hill, the neighbors there, all along Thurman, the neighbors there, trying to, finding older pictures of those houses is going to be a challenge, but people have them in their photo albums, but the kids may not know what they're seeing. That's the other thing. If you got a great grandma's photo book, you never know what you're looking at. So this grant, it has the potential to really jumpstart this committee's mission of collecting and getting people's stories and researching. And so, and it also is to help fund, we're thinking of using the grant funds to pay people to do some of the heavy lifting that's necessary. So one of the things that I agreed to do was look at the maps that are at our library, the Sanborn Maps, and I checked them out today. You may not know this, but there were maps of all of the cities in the U.S. that were done for fire insurance purposes, and they're called Sanborn Maps. And ours start at 1917. And they have, so you can go in and see what it was like in 1917, but they were amended as the city grew and as development came on different lots. And the last amendment was 1949. And that's really significant because that's when the majority of the city was built out, and it designates where Blacks lived during 1949. And there are places that aren't on the map that we know about, places like Bowen Park. It's just an open space on that map. But you have other houses, and we know that Blacks didn't live beyond 19th Street going north. So the houses on 22nd, 21st, 25th Street were white neighborhoods. And so you can see where these structures were. So it's a very interesting thing. So using those maps as our foundation piece to show what was where. And the maps also identify the location of businesses, which was really, really key, and churches. So as of 1949, so you have in the Black neighborhood, some of the churches that, Jocelyn, you would appreciate that Mars Hill was identified as Mars Hill.
But interesting, because it was Mars Hill in 49.
Yes.
Because the church went there in 44.
And that's what I was saying. Oh, Mars Hill was at 49. It was Mars Hill, but Burkhead, Methodist, there's some of those old other churches that hadn't transformed. So you could see where the segregation was, because the churches were still white. So we're going to use that map as our foundation piece for recreating the neighborhoods and where the businesses were. So it's really can be a very transformative project for this committee.
As a part of that, it helps to define exactly what East Winston was for. We have allowed everybody to decide what East Winston is for us. And 21st, 22nd, 23rd Street, that was not. And people don't understand it. So it gets lumped into one big geographical area, but it was not.
It was not. And Morningside was not Black. That's, you know,
Right.
South Side
Exactly.
was not Black. So you
Exactly.
it's a good way of, and you'll see that there was a little section called Bellevue that was Black.
Right.
But other parts of Walltown were not. So it's a good way of showing how we have progressed and when some of those neighborhoods became Black. So this is a great way to tell the story of our growth in our city. So we hope that we'll be able to the grant applications due December the 15th. And the very good news, Dr. Villagomez, I did not tell you this, is that we do not have to have the council's approval. We can submit the grant without the council's approval because it is a grant. It does not require a match. So we're in go mode because that was going to be a little logistical nightmare here at the end of the year. So that's the good news. We do need we're going to have to get a vote from the committee to proceed. But it's just I look for any pots of money, and when they come across my screen, I find somebody to see if they can apply for them. So when I see these pieces of monies, we're going to just go for it because the good news about this one is that the grant award is in March. I believe it's in March, which is really quick for federal granting. It's really, and it's COVID dollars. So it should be a very exciting project.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Scipio and Ms. Johnson. You always give us these great oral history teachings. I mean, I'm glad that we capture all of these every month because it's substantial what you're saying and exciting. And I would encourage everybody to just kind of dream and visualize what this could be, what these types of projects could be. Councilperson Scipio mentioned Tulsa, and I believe I sent you the link to the Tulsa site. That's one of the only city sites where a city community has accomplished something like what we would like to do. I sent you the virtual Harlem Renaissance, which is really great, very beautifully done, very artistic, and I think that's been a long-term project that involved a lot of students. So with all the creativity we have in this city, I think, you know, multiple interesting and very important projects could really bring in all of the oral histories, the pictures, the maps. And I do promise you that I will be having our students take a very careful look at the maps. Those maps will be some of our primary sources. And so we'll continue to bring the findings from studying those maps back to the committee. And again, if any one of you has a particular assignment, research assignment that you want my students to accomplish on our behalf, then feel free to send that. I'll be reaching out to Mr. Tom Flynn to see if the Winston-Salem State Archive has pictures, and so we'll use those because so much is digitized and online through the O'Kelly Library website. And then hopefully we can access things that maybe the public library has. And then photos that people have been cherishing at home that haven't been publicly shared, because those could really enrich this beautiful picture that we'll ultimately create, or multiple pictures. So thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. Ms. Wanda, would you care to share and add anything?
Chair Villa-Gomez, I'm good. As you can see, I'm having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
So, no, I really don't have anything to share other than the fact that I agree this is so exciting.
Thank you.
It is very exciting.
It really is. I really feel like this potential for this grant really brought together a lot of creative ideas. It sort of helped us, some of us at least, to envision what we could present to the whole committee for the many ways that we can meet our mission. I would recommend that you might go back to my email and check out the actual grant website and see some of the examples of things that have been done that are similar to what we might accomplish. So any other thoughts before we move on? Okay, thank you. Well, Ms. Wanda, we are ready for the director's updates.
Chair Villa-Gomez, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm probably echoing a little bit here, unless that's just on my end.
You're echoing.
Okay. How about now?
That's better.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Really, there are not many updates from the department, other than the fact that, yes, we are working quite diligently to get the grant that Councilmember Scipio referenced earlier in to consideration for the submission deadline date of December 15th. So we've already done the pre-application. And right now we are just working on creating the narrative for the grant to make sure that we're being inclusive of the research component, the training component, and then also any vision for implementation. And there was one component of the grant that touched on architectural details and preservation, but of course, in the interest of time, we chose not to focus on that part. So we are working on that narrative, and we'll be working closely with Chair Gomez and Council Member Scipio to make sure that everything is captured in terms of the essence of what the AAHI could possibly do. And also, although she's not on the call today, we've also been working closely with Assistant City Attorney Takesha Red, just to make sure in terms of format and form that we are proper. So we're moving forward with it. And so looking forward to that. I don't know if we may have any city staff updates that could be shared. I do know that we do have Mr. Tom Flynn on the call, and he's been working closely with Assistant City Attorney Red. So there could be an update from Mr. Flynn, right?
Yes, so the draft was sent over for partnership, and it is being passed to the signatories. So the university is on board. I don't have any time frame for when the document will be signed, but it's great news, and we'll be excited to do whatever, we'll do what we can to help you all out.
Great news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Terrific news, Tom. Thank you. Thank you
Of
for all
course.
your help too.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Boy, that's going to move us. That's going to give us a big leap forward. That's like going into a wormhole and coming out on light years ahead. That's going to be terrific.
Yeah, and once it's signed, I know you guys don't have a ton of submissions yet, but I think that once it's completely signed, we can work with the committee to get some test cases. So recording some of your oral histories, photographs, stuff like that, and figuring out what a workflow would look like between the city and the university and Digital NC, so we can figure all that out.
Sounds good.
Hey, Carlin, I cannot hear them. Are they addressing me? No. Okay, I cannot hear you guys, but I hope you can hear me. So I've called Carlin just to make sure. But Tom, I'm sure you probably gave your update by now.
Yes.
Okay. And so I just wanted to thank you for all of your hard work with Keisha.
That was my pleasure.
And I think that was all we had, unless marketing or IS had any updates.
This is a quick question between marketing and Winston-Salem State. So the 50-year celebration of the sit-down movement here in town was 2010. The city and Winston-Salem State had very strong parts in that. Do we have any footage or photos from those events that could perhaps be one of your test runs between Winston-Salem State, Wake Forest, and the city? There should have been a significant amount of footage in place.
Ms. Justin, are you talking about the marker unveiling on the anniversary or the original event?
Well, both, but the unveiling for certain, and then the events that were, it was a 3-day event period during the unveiling.
The easier answer is as far as the marker unveiling, I can take a look pretty easily and see what we have back in our records. As for the event back then, I don't know that the city has anything. There may be some stuff on Digital Forsyth. I'm trying to think of, the journal might have some stuff, but boy, who knows the way the journal's been moving around lately and shedding records and files and stuff with every successive move. I can't promise that even, once upon a time I worked there and they kept everything. But those days, that was 30 years ago. And I just have no idea, but we'd have to reach out to both of them and see what there might be from the 1950s. It seems to me there's something from that sit-in. Seems to me, I know I've seen some pictures of the joint walk that the Winston-Salem State and the Wake Forest students did.
Mhm.
I know I've seen something, so there's probably something out there if we can just figure out exactly where it is.
I have the brochure from the program from the May 2010 event that has pictures on the back of it of the day's event as well as some of the others. I only have one copy.
But that's
And-
great, because if we made that, if marketing made that, then we should have that somewhere in a folder.
I don't know who did it, but I do have it. And if I can send it to you electronically, I will try so you can capture the pictures and the description in it. And if not, I will bring it and let you copy it and walk back out the door with it.
Or I don't know, nowadays phone cameras are so good, you can take a picture of the picture and just email that to me.
Okay.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that if that was in 2010, I have a pretty good idea which of our staff members. They're both gone, but we've kept their folders,
Okay.
and I have a pretty good idea where to look to try to find it.
Good
So
deal.
we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Chairman
you,
Del-
Frank.
Chairman
Um,
Gomez, I know you weren't here last year, but some on the committee might remember, we started talking about doing something for Black History Month. And time is always of the essence, because this is December. And if marketing's going to get involved, they really need to be starting to work on something. And I am not really remembering what some of that conversation was for what you may have wanted to do for February. But I think that we probably need to start talking about that, because your next meeting will actually be almost too late to do. That's what usually happens. You meet on that Wednesday, then you only have a month to turn something around. And so I would suggest that people think about what you may have said you wanted to do last year. And I'm sorry, I just thought about how the timing, it probably should have had on your agenda for today.
Thank you for that, Council Scipio. Any suggestions for maybe a theme or a few themes, or some kind of activity, some kind of event that will celebrate an important highlight of our history, and maybe really engage and get more people in our community interested in what we're doing?
I got a text message from one of our, I'm just trying to find it here. One of the persons, we had talked about having a keynote speaker at our orientation at one time. But anyway, I got a text message from Jimmy Ewers. His name is James Ewers. He writes for the Chronicle. He's a former educator, administrator, lives in New Orleans. And he says he has his second book was recently published. It's titled Views from My Corner of the World, Essays on Black Lives Matter, the coronavirus, politics, and voting. And he's looking to have a community group sponsor him for a book signing and public speaking event during Black History Month. So that's what he sent to me. His father was a dentist, one of the first Black dentists in town. And his mother was one of the first graduates of the KB Reynolds Nursing School, which is having their present absence project is being unveiled this weekend at 2:00 at the Malloy Jordan Library, outside the library. It's going to be a photos of these early nurses on the back of the social services building, which was the former Reynolds, the new Reynolds Hospital. But that takes place Saturday at 2:00, in case anybody wants to go. But anyway, I just wanted to give you that. Dr. Years would be willing to come and speak and talk, and he writes an article in the Chronicle every week.
Thank you. I think it would be great if we could sponsor his book signing and use that as an opportunity, those of us who would feel comfortable to go out into the community face to face. I think that could be wonderful, especially because he has such a presence and long-term roots here. So, and thanks for the present absence note. I didn't know about that, and I have been on that committee and nothing's come my way, and I kept wondering. So I didn't even know what the new site was. So that's great news. I'm gonna try to go out to that, so.
It's 2:00 on Saturday. And the program is from 2 to 3:00. Remarks.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson also put something in the chat. I think that is great. So that's before
Yes.
February, but I mean, I think, are we allowed to sponsor something like that? Because we can
Sponsor
encourage
which one?
people. So this is on January 1st. It's a virtual event, but that's great because we can bring in more people and it's related to scholarships. So the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Emancipation Association. So it's holding the annual event, and the speaker is the Reverend Dr. Dwight Hash. Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson.
You're welcome. Thank you. And it's a great event. It's been around for a long time. Councilmember Scipio, I think, will also be present.
Yes,
Check your emails.
I'll bring some remarks, but I've also went to that Emancipation Proclamation since I was a little girl. Mm-hmm. It used to be where African Americans would gather on that first day of the year and they read the proclamation. That was part of my growing up. I think since I was 5, we would go every January 1st. And it's amazing that it's still going on. And there's a group that's keeping it alive. Thank you, Jocelyn, for being with that group to keep it alive.
You're welcome.
Because it's those traditions that have been lost as opposed to being passed on. Mr. Fulton, hello to you. Happy to see you. So good to have you. Made our quorum for today. So chairperson, you can vote on things quickly before your time is up.
Well, Councilmember Scipio, actually, Ms. Penn has, she's not on the call anymore, so we don't have a quorum.
Oh man, I thought we did. Okay, so sorry. It's still good to see you, Mr. Fulton.
Well, good to be here.
Yes, Mr. Fulton, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Chair Villa-Gomez, I don't know if we have any updates from any other city staff, but if not, that would be it for the city updates and department updates.
Thank you.
Nothing from IT today.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Ms. Wanda, do you want me to share about the Winston-Salem Foundation redlining project, or would you like
Yes.
to give the update? Actually, you know more about the most recent the update that you gave to me and Charlie. So, but I can share since you're having technical problems. So Ms. Wanda has been asked by our city council to come in and do a presentation on the redlining project. And she'll be joined, she's invited Mr. Charlie Gardner and myself to join her. I forgot the date. I think it's December 14th. So as that progresses, we'll keep you in.
Yes, that's
informed
correct,
of
Chair
that.
Villa-Gomez.
Thank you. So I think the redlining exhibition has also helped to kind of crystallize some of what we're trying to do and give us some kind of anchors. And so I think it's great that that exhibition will be in town longer, and we'll have a perpetual virtual presence online with our local presentation. And I'm sure we'll continue to add to that, and we can maybe even do something involving the redlining project for Black History Month. That might be one highlight for us to think about. So we can move on to meeting reminders since we can't vote today on either approving our minutes or recommending for the application, the recommendation for the application. I will make sure to I'll work with Ms. Wanda about how to vote online for that. But I do want to remind everyone that our next meeting will be in the new year. So we will meet on Wednesday, January 5th at 2 p.m. So before we say goodbye, are there any little history treasures that anyone would like to share? A 2-minute memory that we could add into today's meeting record? All right. And I don't believe there are any other actionable items unless someone remembers one right now. All right, well then I believe we can adjourn for today. I want to again thank you all for meeting and look forward to the ways we're going to move forward on the various projects that we have discussed today. So take very good care and have a blessed holiday, because we won't meet as a group until after the new year. So blessed and wonderful time with your family, and happy new year as well, an early happy new year. And so thank you again so much. I'll be in touch via email. So could someone move for our meeting to adjourn?
I move on.
Thank you so much. So our meeting is adjourned for today. Thank you again, everyone. Take care.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Holidays.